Alan, I haven't talked to you before the show. I have no idea what your view is of this, but I would imagine it's probably similar to mine. Give us your breakdown of what's happening with the fear-mongering right now with the pretty much imaginary flu.
Well, it's one crisis after another. We're just coming through the created financial collapse that rose the IMF to its proper position as a distributor for the world's money. And now it's time to teach the public that the World Health Organization will be the world authority that will guide every country and actually be the ruler as far as medical things go for the entire planet. But ultimately, you must remember the World Health Organization's agenda is to do with sustainable development. Once they have that authority, they're going to move right into the next part, which is depopulation, sterilization, etc., for sustainability reasons. And there's no mystery about this, because when the League of Nations was set up with the same organizations that are in the United Nations, including a World Health Authority, some of the founders at the time wrote about it, and they said that this is being set up to be the World Health Authority, and they must use panic and crisis to get the public to give them that authority. That's exactly what we're going through today. This flu is just a standard H1N1. It was out last year, according to the BBC and to the so-called experts in Britain. Tamiflu is pretty useless anyway. All the hype about Tamiflu came from the pharma companies that made the darn drugs. All their studies are from their paid agents to give them glowing reports. But basically you don't need it, because this is a mild flu. And those who are dying of it, and it's down to 7 proven cases in Mexico, not 107, you find they're compromised already with different other diseases, AIDS, etc., etc. So this is a very, very mild flu. It takes about 3 days. Everyone who's got it in Canada and Britain are told just to stay at home, drink lots of fluid, all the usual stuff, and it's gone in about 3 days. That's it.
So clearly, out of the blue, they have been fear-mongering and saying, I mean, I've got the headlines, this is the greatest challenge to face humanity.
Yep.
You know, this could be the end. Hundreds of millions could die. And then meanwhile, Mexico's saying between 7 and 12 dead, 1 dead in the United States, that person from Mexico City. But meanwhile, I've got Time, Newsweek, CBS, CNN, all of these publications, TV saying, get ready for forced inoculations, even if you haven't had the flu. And now they're saying, oh, even if this passes over in the next month, when the flu shot's ready, we're going to make you take it. So I think this is also about pushback to all the tens of millions of people waking up to how deadly vaccines are, who are saying, no, I'm not going to take it. And they're trying to test the public to see if they can force us to do it. So when they launch the real attack during the full collapse of society, you watch when the resistance to the New World Order starts, when we're trying to take our governments back, they are going to launch massive real bio attacks. Alan, your comments on that?
Yeah, this is, you see, there have been so many studies coming out over the years of the fact that the flu inoculations, every year they tell you in the spring they had the wrong combinations of flu strain, so they were useless. But not only that, most folk who get the flu injections end up coming down with the flu. So people were stopping taking their free flu shots. So they have to do something to get it back up to mandatory level.
And they admit, I keep forgetting to make this point to interrupt, you make me think, Alan, they admit that all these flu shots actually mutate with regular flu out there and are creating more dangerous strains, and the Tamiflu accelerates the mutation, just like antibiotics do with the bacteria.
Yes, they're using human beings as breeders, and that's what they use the animals for. That's how they breed the viruses, either in chickens or some other kind of animal, or human fetal tissue. And now they're using living people, and everyone who gets a shot becomes a breeder, and they shed the virus wherever they go. Yeah,
it's just absolutely amazing. Alan, why do you think Napolitano came out and said, oh, well, this one's probably no big deal, but the next one, it's coming, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I know.
And then flying Air Force One through the middle of buildings with F-16s literally 50 feet away, and then it came out in memos, they terrorized them on purpose, but said it's secret. What is behind that?
We'll never get the whole story. In fact, we never get the real truth about anything, to be honest with you. As I say, we're living at an age where we have so many distractions and crises, and we're rolling now from simply one crisis to another. But what is interesting is that out of every crisis, the they're on a roll for complete domination of the planet, because the United Nations was set up, remember, as a front by the big foundations and the Rockefellers, etc., to be the world authority. So this is the century of change for globalism, where they bring this whole structure in, and they can only do it through crisis creation and offer the solutions, which, of course, was the plan all along. We're going to roll and roll from solution to solution and crisis to crisis. People have already forgotten that trillions of dollars have been looted from them just a few months ago.
And Alan, how obvious is it, and we're going to play this clip and I want to get your answer to this. As you just said, I'm watching John Kerry last night in the Senate hearing. He says we've got to have a global solution to this global crisis, and the head of the UN, the Secretary General, Mr. Moon, is admitting they're directing the United States and Canada and Australia and all the Commonwealth countries are the ones hyping this up the worst. They're admitting that they're using this, they say, to strengthen the global governance. Now, by the way, I've told everybody for 11 years that the old Robert Mueller Airport is a FEMA camp, and we have local newscasts saying during emergencies they have 747 hangars with bolts and chains in the floors, porta potties, cots, barbed wire inside. And I reported it a year before it was in the news. People laughed at me because I had inside sources that put it in. You know, the cops are calling me going, man, you got to see this place. It's a FEMA camp. Then I've got local Fox again going, oh, yes, it's an emergency camp for you. That's in Police State 2, the takeover. This is right next door to that. There's troops running around all over the old airport. Down the street at the old mall, they've taken over 2 of the major areas and have FEMA in there going back a few months ago. And then you walk up and say, why is Homeland Security here? They say, get back, get back, get back. And this is happening everywhere. Alan Watt, I mean, how much more obvious does this have to get? This is all a beta test for when they release the real controlled plague.
It is too, and FEMA made it quite clear in New Orleans that no other contingency plans would be allowed except their own. In fact, you couldn't even help your neighbor. You were not authorized in rescue, etc., etc. So you're looking at all power to even save ourselves being taken up by the official authorized organization. And this is also treating the public. That is so. This is so. This is the way it will be. And so, as I say, they will eventually one day release something, because the true cutting edge on virology and bacteriology is not in the ordinary medical profession. It's in bacterial and warfare laboratory labs. And they've written extensively the fact that they can create ethnic-specific viruses that will kill certain groups, not others. That's all declassified stuff. And they also are basically, they can recreate a virus within 1 hour and alter it to be a killer if they want to. That's how far advanced they really are. So the guys at the bottom don't even know what's going on.
Absolutely, Alan, stay there. We'll talk more about this after this quick break. Stay with us. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small, nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. All right, Burmis is popping in. Alan Watt's our guest. Appreciate him coming on with us with his great insight. But I want to hear what he has to say about this in detail and how we should counter it. Is this a desperation move by the establishment? Is it a beta test? But yeah, all over the world, if anybody has any type of symptom, the tattletale citizens freak out on them. They have them jerked off planes, panicking. This is the secret police drilling. And I always said they would do it in the name of medical. That's how Hitler started, grabbing people for plagues or medical problems or flus, and then they were mentally retarded, and then they had medical problems, and long before the camps. And the Soviets did this too. Burmis, give them the new article, then we'll get Alan Watt's take on it.
Yeah, I was just running into the coffee room, and I see all of a sudden on Fox News this woman is being dragged off a United plane after it's diverted from Munich, Germany, into Boston, and then you see her being taken off by two people in big yellow, what looks like hazmat uniforms.
It's all part of it's all acting. It's all part of theater. Setting up emergency tents, people in biosuits, and they're on the news going, we're going to make you take shots. You know, Alan Watt, they could mind control us maybe with just this little event. Maybe there'd be no deaths, and they would just end all freedom and have everyone in hazmat suits. I mean, do you think they're going for the gold right now, or is this just a beta test?
It's a beta test, but you're quite right there. They could be no deaths at all and still go for it, because I said years ago when they first brought out the movie Outbreak, that was the first movie they conditioned the public. Oh my God, this could be terrible if I had a real outbreak. It was done through fiction. And I said that all they need to show you is guys in hazmat suits and a stretcher and someone on it that they could do in a studio, and that's broadcast to the world, and we all believe it. That's all they have to do today. It's like wag the dog, seeing is believing, and that becomes your perception of reality. So it's so simple. But you're quite right. This is a big push to get the public of the world conditioned.
But I mean, how ridiculous, in hazmat suits, and it's killed one person.